Well, hello, and welcome to the No Vacancy podcast with me, Glenn Hausman. I am excited to have you guys here. Why? Because it's going to be a very special episode this week. I don't mean to get all blossom on everybody here, but I think it's going to be one that you're going to need to pull out those handkerchiefs and just watch and listen and learn. Why is it going to be so special? Well, first of all, I have Mr. Bruce Ford here, SVP of Development with LaGuardia Econometrics. How are you, sir?
Mr. Hausman, happy days are here again.
Hey, happy days are here again, and we're coming at you from AhoaCon 2018, which, as you're listening to the show, is just wrapping up. That is, if you're listening to the podcast feed. If you're watching us live on Facebook, hey, it's happening right now. Hope to see you guys.
We're so soch.
We are. We are. So I would like to say that this show is brought to you in part by Duetto, the revenue strategy technology platform that thousands of hotels are using to make more money. Bruce, I know you like making more money.
I do, and revenue management software tools out there in the industry is some great stuff these days. We've really figured out how to computerize what used to be a very manual system of cards and calling around to the other hotels and all those types of things. So take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if you're thinking about your bottom line there, which I know as a smart hotelier you're doing every single day, and you're not using some sort of revenue strategy such as the one offered by the good folks at Duetto, I think you're leaving money on the table. These guys, they really help you get results with revenue and have a website to check it all out, getrevenueresults.com. GetRevenueResults.com is where you need to go, and you're going to hear an interview that I did with their CEO, Patrick Bosworth, all about the history of revenue management, how it became revenue strategy, and all of that great stuff in the future that's coming along. So, Bruce, we're here. We're at the AHOA conference. The reason why I said it's a very special episode is because I want to talk about an issue that's very serious. It's very serious to me, and that is, why is it in airports and hotels I can't get the automated sinks to actually work ever, and I have to go to like 4 or 5 sinks, and it makes me sad, Bruce Ford.
They actually have to put one guy on replacing all the batteries there. We could find a guy to bring on that could talk to you about that, Glenn. At the end of the day, though, you might be invisible, and that's why it's not working for
you. That's so sad. Now I even have sinks telling me my existence doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, life's a bitch.
Yeah. It really is. One thing, not the big giant B word, is this amazing conference, AhoaCon 2018 at the Gaylord National. I love the energy here. I love the fun that people seem to be having. I love the business productivity that's taking place. And, man, what an awesome experience it is here.
Well, it is the largest owners conference in the world for hotels. Without question.
And,
not comparable to anything else.
It is not comparable to anything else at all. I mean, it's really unbelievable. In fact, it is indeed the largest hospitality trade show and convention in the world. And we're having so much fun here at capturing stories in our big glass booth from all the AHOA members. And if you're listening to this live, you want to come by between 1 and 3 today to share your story, that'd be great. If you're listening to this as a podcast, hey, it already happened. Sorry. I feel badly that you missed this opportunity. And thanks to Red Roof for being such a great sponsor today.
The other thing that's really compelling is that this is very street corner in terms of all the things that you talk about here at the AHOA conference, mostly because these are owners of 2, 4, 7 hotels, many cases, and they are the backbone of what the industry is. And the issues that they deal with are very different from things that people deal with who have 20, 30, 80 hotels. In addition to that, they are multi-generational. In many cases, their parents started the company, and now they're coming into the business, the next generation. So I applaud that, obviously being in a family business on my own as a second generation into the business. I think it's a great way to learn the industry, and I always say to people, I grew up in the hotel business because part of our vacations as a young man was to go to that city that we were going to. We'd all go see the coolest hotels in town. I specifically remember a vacation to California when I was 10, where we went to see the Ritz-Carlton in downtown San Francisco, and I said, this is the coolest place ever. Yeah. And it was a very unique hotel, and I'd never seen anything like that before. So, the aspects that you enjoy here at the AHOA conference don't replicate in a lot of other places. So I really find it great. I'm having very successful meetings here, and being at National Harbor in D.C. at the Gaylord Hotel. I've always enjoyed the how they package up the Gaylord, and contrary to popular belief here at D.C., it's actually don't have to walk quite a half a mile. It's only 1/3 of a mile from my room to the conference space.
Well, I'm sorry that you chose you chose to walk 1/3 of a mile. Now, I'm staying at the hotel across the street, which by feet is actually, I think, closer to this booth here that we're broadcasting from right now than your hotel is in this building.
Yeah, nice try, Glenn. Okay, I know you want to pump it up, you're a Hampton man, okay, but at the end of the day, that's completely false.
It is not completely false. I challenge you, Bruce Ford, to a walk-off. Mm-hmm. I've got my stepper in my pocket. We will do steps from one to the other and see which is closer.
You're going to lose, Glenn.
And, of course, if I lose, you will not see the results here on the No Vacancy podcast because, quite frankly, my ego can't handle when you're correct about stuff.
Yeah, well, that happened last night, and we you know, I mean, what are you going to do?
You were right about something last night?
I was. Yes, I was right about the Uber departure area.
Oh, yes.
I'd be right about something.
All right. Yes, as a matter of fact, we are coming at you from the National Harbor Complex, and we had a chance to visit the MGM National Harbor last night. Really, I love the design of that particular hotel. I think it's really well done as far as a locals type casino goes. You know, by locals I mean outside some of the major tentpole Vegas like casino cities.
Sure. So it's you know, obviously with casino gaming in more states than ever, you're going to see more of those Las Vegas style casinos coming to your local area. MGM has a few of them in the pipeline in the United States. One of the next ones that's going to open is in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yes, it is.
And I expect somewhat of a replication, kind of what they've done down here at National Harbor, because the sizing of the units are very similar.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be because this particular design, I checked it out once before, did a quick 20-minute walkthrough last spring shortly after it opened. It's just been such a success, and it looks so great, and it's something so different than most of the casinos that I go to around the country, which I like to check out just to see what's going on with design. And I'm a little bit of a sucker for the way casinos are set up and how that whole business works. But most of those places that I go to just seem a little sad and depressing, and I just feel not good when I'm in them. But last night I felt pretty decent.
Yeah, you know, anything that was designed from a casino perspective over 20 years ago was designed differently, okay? And a lot of that has to do with the smoking inside, you know.
Which there was none of, interestingly enough.
Correct. And so you can build a different room and a different feel to the room if you're not having to, quote, deal with all of the cigarette smoke. So it's a different design otherwise. So a lot of that is changing. I went to the Turning Stone Casino out in New York.
That's in upstate New York?
Yeah, last year. And they have both the old design and the new design as they bring the casino theory further forward, more modern. And they were moving in that direction. As you know, Sheldon Adelson, the owner of Sands Corporation, they've recently sold their developed Bethlehem, Pennsylvania location to another regional casino player. So that was one that didn't necessarily make, if you will, or because they didn't sell it for a significant profit. It just they decided to exit that and go to more, I think, mainstream global markets, as they're still looking in Spain, if I understand correctly. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of effort over the years into that Spain property, but I think it's Japan is really what they're looking at now predominantly. Yeah. But yeah, Spain is absolutely there too. Now, I had a chance to go check out the Sands Bethlehem Casino in Pennsylvania. I'm forgetting the name of the town that it's in.
You're right. It's in Bethlehem, I think.
It's in Bethlehem. All right. Well, that's why it's called the Bethlehem Casino. Well, duh. Sorry, it's been a long.
Hey, Glenn, I was right about something else right there. Keep a note.
We're gonna have to delete this show, I think, at this point.
That would be number 2.
Yeah. So I took a tour of that casino, and I was excited by the whole concept of it for a lot of years because they took an old steel factory and they incorporated elements of that, including the big smokestacks, into it. I'm a huge fan of repurposing old buildings into something new and exciting. I think it bridges the old world and the new world in a fun and interesting way. But that casino almost felt like it was halfway achieving what the National Harbor Casino achieved. It didn't feel regular local casino, but it didn't have that Las Vegas-y kind of appeal to it either.
Well, some of that issue is if you look at how contiguous the National Harbor Casino, the MGM property, is to this casino. You have two properties, the Gaylord being 2,000 and the MGM, I think, is a 700-unit property, something like that. But putting those together in terms of conference space size, in terms of guest room size, in terms of being able to bring a convention, having another large hotel close by to the Gaylord, I'm sure, is a selling point.
Yes.
Not that there aren't other branded hotels here, because there are, okay? But I've come across several dozen people that are staying out at the MGM, and of course, it offers different things in terms of entertainment for your clients. There was a few events there last night from some of the sponsors of the event here. So it just gives you more places to go. In Bethlehem, they don't have that. There's no Gaylord down the street. There's no other collection of large hotels or other conference space or convention space. And I think that's a big key to casino gaming success and really making that success happen in local markets or non-traditional
I think that's a
markets.
really terrific point, because when you bring in that meetings business, it's a different type of person that's hanging out in the casino. It's the less committed to gambling type of person, and more, hey, I want to have a fun night out, get some good food, have some great drinks, maybe have a little bit of fun on the casino floor.
Sure, and casino is trying to capture all different kinds of demand, from people who are coming to concerts, people who just want a meal, people who want to go gamble, all different types of things. And having a casino nearby, a significant amount of convention space, it has seemed to work a little better.
Yeah, so we're also here at the Gaylord National, one of the biggest non-gaming hotels in the country, and there's a new one from the Gaylord family that's going to be opening, I think, possibly by the end of this year outside Denver. I think near the airport. I'm going to be at the Gaylord Texan in a couple of weeks. I find these complexes to be really interesting. I kind of have like a love-hate affair with them, right? Sometimes I think they're really cool because of the size and scope of them. Sometimes I don't like them because of the size and scope of them. It kind of depends on the moment. But if you're doing an event like this, a giant-size event, you can't beat that convenience factor.
You can't, and in the hotel business, we have a thing about having hotel conferences in hotels.
Right.
See, you look at the size of the AHOA conference, there are very few places you can bring that. Okay, I mean,
there's thousands and thousands of people here.
Yeah, you're at 6,000 to 7,000 attendees. You need a 500 booth exhibit hall.
Right.
You need 60 conference rooms. You have needs that are fulfilled only by a very few locations. And
oddly enough, you fulfill all my needs, Bruce Ford.
Well, Glenn, I'm here for something. But even at the LA Live complex for
downtown
Alice,
Los Angeles,
we probably wouldn't fit in there.
No, this is way too big of an event, and it really limits you if you don't want to be in Las Vegas, for example, and you don't want to be in Orlando. Even though there's a Gaylord in Orlando, then there's very few options.
Yeah, I mean, and LA Live obviously having about 3,000 rooms there in the close proximity could provide the rooms, but there's not enough meeting space.
Right.
I mean, you look at the size of what we're dealing with here, unless you put it in the convention center, okay, which they're not typically doing often.
Is there room for any more of these type properties, do you believe, in the country? And if so, any particular cities that you think it would work?
Well, let's review. So we have Nashville, we have Grapevine, Texas, we have Orlando,
and Denver.
Suburban Denver.
And here.
And they've talked about San Diego.
Right, and I recall that got scuttled because of unions and labor.
Yeah, they didn't execute on that. It really doesn't make sense, I don't think, in a city like Los Angeles. I don't think it makes sense in Las Vegas. Perhaps Phoenix, Scottsdale, maybe. That could be interesting. Perhaps, Chicago has plenty of meeting space. I'm not sure it works as well there. But you got to think about airport lift. You got to think about how big is the convention center and how contiguous is it to the major demand for conference space. You'd have to think that not a lot more places to put it.
Right.
Really.
And, you know, the whole idea behind the Gaylord concept is you get a group in, and then they do the tour around the country over the next 4 or 5 years,
Correct.
each one for their annual event, which
I
think...
don't know, maybe New Orleans? I don't know.
I was just thinking New Orleans, too, but I'm not sure if that's because I love the city or I think it'd be a good location for it, you know?
Toronto maybe, too.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. But I know that they've looked at Atlanta, and there's just so much supply in Atlanta, and there's a lot of small hotels, and it's a traffic problem.
All right, what about Seattle?
I don't know. You know, it's Seattle, and the airlift is funky. It's way up there in the corner of the country. It's you got to think more middle America, I think,
Right.
in terms of not getting too cornered off.
That's why I think Dallas works so great, because I know a lot of people that live in Dallas, and the reason why they live there is because they travel so much.
Yep.
That they're always 2.5, 3 hours away from wherever. If I want to fly to Seattle, it's a 6-hour plus flight.
And they build everything bigger in Texas, and the scale of that one in terms of the acreage is one of the biggest.
All right, how about Minneapolis?
Well, they just redid a lot of the convention center in Minneapolis, and they've built a new dome, obviously, for the well, not a dome, but an indoor stadium for the football team. So they gather a lot of opportunity, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, and my last.
What did Eric say? Didn't you have Mr. Jacobs on yesterday?
I did have Eric Jacobs.
Did you quiz him this hard?
I did.
You know, I don't work there.
And
right?
the Eric Jacobs interview is actually going to appear on the No Vacancy podcast after this particular show is released. But he's in charge of all the development for the select service aspect of the company we had with Marriott, and we had such a great, interesting conversation there. But last city that I want to mention to you where possible Gaylords talk in the middle of the country. Why not just put one in Kansas City?
Not enough airport lift, I think, would still be the answer for that one.
Right, exactly.
That's why Nashville's made so much sense. I mean, Nashville teeters on enough airport lift, and still in some places on the East Coast it's challenging to get there direct.
Yeah.
But, of course, that was the original Opryland way back in the day.
Yeah, it sure was. And we were at this event, the AHO event. It was at Opryland 2 years ago, I believe. All right, so Bruce, moving on to another topic, what are some of the big issues that you are seeing people talk about here at this week's AHOA convention at the Gaylord National?
Well, I think planning capex is one of the things that a lot of people are talking about. People are seeing that they're making good profit today. Revenues are still up. They're concerned about what the next 6, 12, 18 months might hold. I think we all have a certain measure of concern, which has been, relayed from the microphone, from the stage, that, the only thing that's derailed the economy of the hotel business in the past couple of cycles has been an external economic event.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't know when that's coming. No one can predict that.
I guess if you knew when it was coming and predict it, you could probably stop it.
Right.
We need, what we need? We need like someone like Scott Bakula to go back in time and save us from the next Black Swan event.
I could guess that people are concerned with the third and the fourth quarter this year. Obviously, we have midterm elections this year. A number of seats in Congress are going to be up. We have had, really in my lifetime, what seems to be a pretty unprecedented run of congressional retirements.
Right.
Both in the Senate and in the House. So that's going to have an impact for sure. And, of course, the stock market is probably 12% off its peak, which was late last year, which I think is a peak nobody expected we'd get to. So some of the signals say softening. Some of the signals say uncertainty. Some of the signals say play it down the middle of the road, if you will. But if you're an individual hotelier now, you should be planning out your capex for the near term. You should be thinking renovation. You should be thinking that new supply is going to impact the operating performance of your hotel, and you better be renovated and prepared.
Yeah, I feel like you should always be thinking about those sort of things. But I got to tell you, the issue that concerns me most, and people can't stop talking about it here on the show floor, is that it's been announced that this summer's Sharknado 6 is going to be the last one of the series, Bruce.
Gee, Glenn. I'm in trouble. I don't even know what the heck that is.
You don't know what Sharknado is?
No.
Oh my God! It's a series of movies with Ian Ziering and Tara Reid where they fight sharks that are flying around and eating people because they get stuck in tornadoes. Hence the name Sharknado.
sounds so far out of my bailiwick. It's just, I can't even. I mean, I barely take enough time to watch The Big Bang Theory, for gosh sakes. I mean, you know.
Well, I watch Sharknado because my kids make me watch it with them, and we have a really good time making fun of it because the movies are so bad.
I still watch the WWE, Glenn. So I mean, it's because my grandkids do.
I still think of it as the WWF.
Okay. So I mean, it's. And, of course, Small Business Administration Secretary Linda McMahon was here to talk to everybody this morning.
And did you get to sit in on that? Because I've been here
for
in
a few
the booth. And what did you learn from that?
Well, I think that, she really feels like the hotel business is obviously a big part of SBA. And as we know, many owners here at AHOA utilize that financing vehicle, as many of them are small family businesses. And she got a lot of cheers from the audience. So I think that a lot of small business owners think that the tax breaks that the government has put through are going to be very good for them.
Well, here's the thing. I've been speaking to a lot of owners and AHOA community members. They're not sure, at least the guys I spoke with, right? I've been having a lot of one-on-one conversations, even here on the mic, and you guys can go check out those interviews on NoVacancyNews.com or hopefully on the AHOA page if you go check that out. They're like, it's too early to tell. They're just not that sure. A couple of the guys even said that they don't think it's going to do anything for them, which is very counter to the narrative that I've been hearing and perceiving as true.
Gee. The president has a counter narrative that what he says may not be actually true? Wait a minute. Are you sure?
Listen, I'm just sure of the one thing I'm sure of is that I've been speaking to these owners, and that's their opinion on the issue. Because they said until the actual rules come out in print, then they really just don't know. Yeah. But a lot less people are excited than I thought would be.
And owners are under attack for a lot of reasons. Okay, there's a lot of cities that are broke. There's a lot of states that are broke. Okay, and hotel taxes continue to rise, okay? And those owners are under attack left, right, up, down.
Absolutely.
And they can't raise the prices fast enough to keep up with the other increasing costs all over the place.
Yeah.
Whether that's energy or employment or taxes or all different types of things. And so they're constantly under attack. So I'm thinking that, yeah, okay, maybe the new tax cuts is going to have a 3% impact, but not a 30% impact.
Right.
So no one's, going to jump out the window and say that it's amazing. Okay, it's just a peg on the board, if you will.
Right.
But I think that owners have to. Andy Alexander, president of Red Roof, also spoke this morning, and he had some commentary about the doubling. Okay, and the doubling, I don't know whether you've seen this speech before, but the doubling of how fast technology is moving, okay? And all of the great innovators created new technology, okay? And all of the great innovators, whether that's Steve Jobs or Bezos or even going back hundreds of years in our society, okay?
Right.
And the doubling effect of how fast things are going to move, what used to take 150 years to double over now takes 2 years. And a quadrillion, okay, this was his number. Our kids will face a quadrillion doubling of tech speed in terms of new opportunities. So if you're an owner, you need to be thinking about alternative energy. You need to be thinking about automation. You need to be thinking about how can I take the room down from an energy perspective when it's not occupied? How can I buy sustainable products? How can I be a participator? And I think that innovating there is going to be a key going forward.
Makes sense, and it also plays in line with the cultural shift that younger people in particular only want to spend money with companies that share what they believe to be similar ethics.
Yep. And so, when you start thinking about things that cost a lot of money in the guest room, I never knew this, okay, but it's one of the big tech things that's going to come down the street is the cost to operate a television, okay? Those new 1080p or 4K TVs, they look awesome. They suck a lot of energy.
I was about to say, they're all what they call vampires. Even when they're off, they suck a lot of energy.
Yeah, and how can you control that in a hotel?
Well, there's got to be some way to control that in a hotel. I mean, I've got a kill switch at my house for that. If we're going out of town, for example, for the weekend, you might as well just turn it off, and I don't need the router on. I don't need the TV working. I definitely don't need the cable box sucking energy either.
So I'm thinking that, again, innovating inside of a hotel, how can you do that? How can you be effective with that? You know, the days of, the maids controlling the thermostat, is that the best way to go going forward? Should that be controlled from the desk? You know, knowing that these 20 rooms are not going to be occupied for 5 or 6 days, what are you going to do with that to make it the most, efficient way to operate the hotel? There's all kinds of things to look at.
I heard of one in particular, one interesting product was instead of having an engineer come to the hotel to check your boiler, for example, right, they could hook it up to a system, and you could have one engineer that checks like 300 different hotels from a remote location and make adjustments on the fly.
Sure.
That's interesting to me because it saves energy, the cost of energy, and all of those people that you need to hire as well.
Yeah, and owners should be taking those meetings. Anybody who says I can save you money, even if you have to spend to save, sometimes that's responsible.
Right.
Okay. And the brands are thinking about that too. If you take the Intercontinental's new Avid brand, right? Mm-hmm. So the comparison that one of our friends presented at the California Lodging Investment Conference a couple of weeks ago, presented that the same size from a number of rooms perspective, Holiday Inn Express, and the same size Avid,
right,
you need 1/3 less land for the Avid.
Yeah, that's because
the rooms are more efficient. The building's more efficient.
And by efficient, we mean smaller.
Yeah. But efficiency comes in smaller packages, Glenn, because if you don't have that extra 20 square feet, guess what? You don't have to heat it. You don't have to cool it.
In this particular conversation, I'm not making an opinion or a comment on the size of the specific rooms. I'm just, clarifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I've definitely had my opinion on these in the future. Just not now,
Yeah.
I'm tired of having opinions, Bruce.
Yeah, well, Glenn, some people just like to take your opinions, roll them up real tight, and throw them at you. That's the way they function.
What are you going to do?
Make the rest of us miserable.
If I'm going to choose to be a broadcaster and an outspoken speaker, then, sometimes you're going to ruffle a few little feathers, which is always difficult to comprehend for me. I don't like people disagreeing with me or arguing with me, except you. I seem to really enjoy that. But
we'll knock it back and forth.
It is part of the territory.
So some of the other things that we talk a lot about here, Glenn, is consolidation.
Yes.
Okay, and so there was an announcement yesterday, or a disclosure, I would more say, that Pebblebrook, a hotel REIT, has made an offer to purchase LaSalle Hotel Properties, which is also a hotel REIT.
Which is pretty significant.
Sure. There's a lot of connectivity between the two companies. The chairman, chief executive officer, John Ports at Pebblebrook, was the guy who founded LaSalle Hotel Properties 20-plus years ago when it went public. And so that's some of the connectivity. But they also have kind of common vision. LaSalle has, a number of urban center locations, kind of boutique-type properties that I think from a real estate perspective are attractive to Pebblebrook. And Pebblebrook was first to the game to divest out of New York. They sold most of their hotels in New York 2 years ago.
No, I had no idea, and I gotta hand it to them. Good move. Since they sold those hotels, New York has really become soft. Everyone I talk to in the city has a real hard time pushing rates on it. Man, they're just trying to tread water and not fall behind, which is not happening often.
Yeah. And when you talk about New York and you talk about costs going up, that's one of the places where costs are really going up. So if you can't raise rates, you fall behind. You make less.
Yeah, how many hotels did you say is in the New York City general pipelines? It's still in like the 90s, isn't it?
The New York City market still has 180 projects.
Holy cow!
Yeah. the stat that I presented yesterday was talking more about not Manhattan, but about the JFK tract and the LaGuardia tract out at the airports. I had a special slide for that. So at LaGuardia, about 2,300 rooms will open between 18 and 19. And at JFK, there was just one hotel that would open between 18 and 19.
Would that be the TWA hotel?
But in 2020, there's 6,000 rooms coming between those two airports.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Now
they haven't really built a lot of new hotels out there in quite a while.
Oh, goodness. I think the last time they built some new hotels at JFK, and I'm just, using my fuzzy memory, it's got to be 10 years at this point.
So the reconfiguration of everything that they're doing there is leading to this development, okay?
Right.
And
are you speaking to LaGuardia, for example?
both. Mm-hmm. I mean, in both cases. LaGuardia, obviously, more substantial renovation now. Is a new terminal at LaGuardia.
They're rebuilding the whole airport, essentially.
Yeah, and they've been doing it for a while, but JFK, is that all done now?
The terminals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, right now they're building the TWA hotel right in front of the JetBlue terminal.
Yeah.
I think JetBlue wants to expand their terminal, but I haven't seen anything like that as of yet. The Delta terminals, they've been done for quite some time.
Okay.
I wish they'd get rid of the Terminal 2 for Delta now, that they got rid of Terminal 3 and moved everything over to Terminal 4, because I always feel like when I'm at Terminal 2 compared to Terminal 4 that I'm the the middle child, unloved.
Is that when you're going to Boise?
Yeah, pretty much. No, LaGuardia, though, it's so limited with the amount of traffic that they can have coming in and out. I wonder what's going to happen with all of that hotel development. Do we really need 2,300 plus rooms in that particular market? Because you got these runways that cross, and you can only do, I believe, it's limited to 60 takeoffs and landings an hour.
Yeah. So the not every hotel is going to be looking over the runways. Okay,
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. But additionally to that, I think what LaGuardia is going to do with the reconfiguration of the traffic is they're going to keep much of the vehicular traffic that is not buses away from the front doors.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's a common thing that they do when they're highly congested. So the congestion gets away from the front door of the building.
Right.
And that's not only a security issue in many cases, but it's also a traffic flow issue too.
Well, there's horrific traffic flow for the current iteration of
Yeah.
LaGuardia. I mean, you've got to go around and back and around again in order to get to the building right next door. I mean, this is no joke. You literally have to go all the way across the airport and come back in order to get to.
So you're feeling
places.
the pain that I did in Boston for 10 solid years.
Oh my God, yeah. But it's all right. I don't really fly out of LaGuardia all that much, and quite frankly, it's still pretty convenient for me because where I park my car, it's just across the street, and the shuttle van comes really quick to pick me up to take me there, which is much better than when I'm at JFK because it's so giant. It could take 20 to 30 minutes for that little shuttle van to get me.
So the airport development that we talked about there with LaGuardia and JFK is going down the line of exactly what's happening in the industry. We're seeing more new construction at airports because the fly-in for the day for a meeting, go to the airport hotel, or fly in for 2 days or a day and a half is becoming pretty common because less and less people, particularly in sales and marketing, report to headquarters to go to work every day. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that, you have to get together, you have to have regional meetings, and airport hotels are getting a lot of that business.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. I was just at an airport recently where I saw a new hotel going up. I've been traveling so much I can't remember what city it was in, but it really struck me as, wow, I'm going to a lot of airports now and seeing a lot of hotels being built on site.
Yep. There's a ton of them, and they're reconfiguring a lot of car rental places too. So you're seeing that in terms of the consolidation of the car rental, putting it in a couple of garages rather than a lot of acreage around the airport, so they can again control traffic.
I like that. It's much more convenient when you can just pick up the car in the airport and not have to get on that bus.
But would you want to own a car rental business right now? Revenue's in decline.
No, I
decline.
Wouldn't. Yeah, I mean.
The people are more and more people are just take Uber.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
or Lyft.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we've been on the mic for a really long time already. Bruce, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah. Have a happy Passover, Glenn.
Hey, thanks so much. I will be missing, unfortunately, the first Passover Seder with my family because I'll be with my Indian American community here enjoying the big gala, but. I do get to go home on Saturday morning, drive all the way back to New York, and have 25 people coming over for a Seder at my house. So I'm wondering how that's going to work out.
Well, I hope Mrs. Hausman is fully prepared.
Yeah,
and she will be.
Or Miss Stein, depending on the day of the week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm always confused. I always have to, I always have to ask her. I'm like, which name did you use on this particular thing or that particular thing? She really vacillates back and forth. I think we've settled on when it deals directly with the kids, she's Mrs. Hausman. The rest of the time, she's Miss Stein.
Okay.
All right, so just so we all know what the rules are
Yeah.
over there.
So we're going to be at Lodging Econometrics closing down another quarter coming up, and I'm expecting some pipeline growth still. Probably not a lot of new brands. I think obviously the Red Collection from Red Roof was one of the last ones that was announced. A soft brand in the upper mid-scale space. Again, most of the brands that are being announced have been going down the market, so more upper mid-scale and economy stuff. I'd expect that to continue, and also more consolidation.
Yeah, I expect, my prediction, I expect Hilton says, I believe that they're going to be announcing another brand or 2 or 20 any month now, and Best Western will be rolling out a new brand.
So maybe for NYU. Oh, yes, NYU.
Yes, right. At least that's what I believe to be the case. They're definitely doing a new brand. I just don't know whether or not it's going to be associated. It's going to be announced completely in time for the NYU show. And I urge everybody to check out my interview with the CEO of Best Western Hotels and Resorts with Mr. David Kong. Got to figure out when I'm going to run that one. Maybe even after this segment. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet as we were recording this.
Yes. Well, in the new economy, Glenn, you prepare late. That's how you do it.
I really appreciate that, Bruce. It's the nicest thing that you've ever said about me, that I actually prepare for something.
Well, I tried to be nice.
Yeah.
It came veiled in sarcasm.
Bruce, how about your shameless plug, buddy?
All right. Lodging Econometrics on LinkedIn. Lodging Econometric. Drop the S on Twitter. Please feel free to follow us. We release all kinds of facts and figures about the hotel development industry, and we're always available to be of assistance. And BFINNH on Twitter for me. And everybody have a great holiday weekend.
Great. Yeah. Happy Easter to you and your family, Bruce.
Thank you very much.
And I want to thank all of you for listening. Now, stay tuned, because after this message, we have got an amazing interview. I have no idea which one it'll be. You'll see it in the show notes. I'm clueless right now, but it was amazing because I have been getting such terrific interviews between last week at Hunter and this week at AHOA. I've got a lot of CEOs lined up already. I've got, all sorts of great personalities all ready to go, all in the can, all recorded, and you guys are going to hear it. But before we go to break, one word of advice: whatever you do, take care of your shoes. We'll be right back after this message.